All right, guys, welcome back to another Tactical Podcast. Today's going to be Tactical Podcast 38, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Sometimes I mess those things up. But today, we have a really cool guy coming on. So we've got Jairo Bautista, and forgive me if I'm butchering your name, brother. Is it Jairo Bautista?
No, it's Jairo Bautista.
Jairo Bautista. Welcome on, Jairo. So,
what up, brother? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. Another long day and getting ready for my afternoon training, or my evening training, I should say. Then,
I'm super jealous right now, man. I'm so got that itch to get back on the mats, dude. But
yeah, man. Luckily, they lifted up for us here in Texas. So yeah, getting ready for this evening training.
Awesome, man. So, Jairo, you've got a really interesting background here. So you're a 9-year Navy vet. Besides from being a firefighter, damage controlman in the Navy, you also have 10 years of jiu-jitsu experience. You're currently a brown belt. Jairo's been doing martial arts really since he was about 5 years old. He started off with taekwondo, karate, moved into boxing, kickboxing, and eventually found his niche in BJJ. And Jairo recently has opened up an academy out in Dallas, Texas. The name of the academy is 144 Jiu-Jitsu Academy, and he is currently getting everything all set up. He's waiting for everything to be, given a green light, so to speak, and they'll start hitting it hard. What I find interesting from my end about 144 is you guys are focusing more so on the street self-defense applications than the, sporting kicky feet applications of jiu-jitsu. So this is right up our alley right here on Gutter Fighting Secrets. And Jairo, can you give us a little bit more about why you decided to go ahead and focus more on street self-defense rather than competition, sports-oriented stuff?
Yeah, for sure. So the reason why I went more towards street self-defense is because that's the way I started jiu-jitsu. So I was stationed in Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. That's where I did my 5 years of active duty. And I actually started training jiu-jitsu in Hawaii, and I went under Grandmaster Helsing Gracie.
Oh, wow.
So the second oldest son of Hilo Gracie, the founder of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. So his lineage at that academy, their number one thing was always self-defense. Like, you got to know this before you can move on to the competition side. They just beat that into us. And not only that, but I fell in love with the self-defense part too. So when I got out the military, I came back to Dallas. I started training at different academies. And don't get me wrong, I love competing. I still compete myself to this day. I just love pushing myself, testing myself. But one thing that I noticed that was missing here in Dallas, and actually what I feel like is missing a lot of BJJ schools, is the self-defense part. Most of them, I feel like they just do the whole competition side, which is compete, get a medal. I mean, like I said, nothing wrong with that. But for me personally, I love teaching people and giving them confidence that they can defend themselves anytime, any place, no matter with who or what situation, and they just feel comfortable. So yeah, that's the reason why I went more to street self-defense.
Well, I think it's a great thing, to be honest with you, man. And I know I was watching some of your Instagram videos, and you referenced the fact that we're living in crazy freaking times right now, and it's getting more dangerous almost by the week sometimes. So the fact that you want to give guys and girls out there not only the practical skills, but also the confidence to walk down the street with their head held high, I think it's a really great thing. We see so many schools out there doing the competition thing. And like you say, dude, there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do. But in your opinion, if you are a competition jiu-jitsu person, I mean, is it street applicable? And if so, how street applicable is it?
So for the most part, yes, it is street applicable. But for the one thing that is missing a lot from my experience, from what I went through, my training, and to this day, it's just like Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. If you're not used to getting punched in the face on the ground, I promise you, once that first punch hits you in the face, a good punch, most everything goes out the window. Like your whole plan, because there's nothing like getting punched in the face, especially if you've never been or even practiced how to avoid a punch. And that's the reason why, I don't know if you heard of Eddie Bravo.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the reason why he started a combative jiu-jitsu tournament, because he wanted to bring back that essence, the true martial arts of that. This is what jiu-jitsu got founded on, which is self-defense, fighting, and that's why in that tournament they're actually allowed to strike each other, slap each other, because it's a whole different ball game. It's a whole different ball game when there's punches, or not only punches, but when weapons are involved.
Yeah.
And if you never train with weapons, or if you never learn how to actually street fight, man, like anything can happen in a street fight. You just gotta prepare for everything.
And that's really such a big thing that I think is missing from jiu-jitsu. Guys train, reality-based self-defense, and there's a lot wrong with a lot of those systems, to be honest with you, in my opinion. But, they rag on jiu-jitsu because they say, you guys aren't training the dirty techniques. You guys aren't training the striking as much and the weapons and the multiple attackers. So I'm really glad to see that a guy like you was starting to open up an academy where you say, okay, well, let's talk about it. What happens if I'm grappling around in the dirt or on the pavement and someone pulls a knife out? How do I proceed from there? So what would be different about somebody going ahead and using jiu-jitsu in the street, and then let's say someone pulls out a knife from their pocket in the grapple? I mean, how do we go from there?
So the one thing I teach my students is when it comes to street fighting, the first thing I tell them, you got to remember there's no referee. All right, that's number one thing. There's no referee to stop you or to stop anything. Number two, when it comes to jiu-jitsu, in my opinion, on the ground, one thing that I learned throughout my years, especially when it comes to the street fighting side of grappling, is you always got to keep your eyes on the hands, on both hands. So it's not necessarily of get an arm bar on this side and let the other hand be free, because then you never know, with that free hand they can grab a weapon, they can start stabbing you, or even if something as simple like the basic arm bar, they can bite you. The traditional arm bar that we get learned, they can bite your hamstring. I've been bitten before, so we got to modify that. So when it comes to weapons now, you have to pay attention to both hands. That is the key when it comes to grappling in a street fight. You got to pay attention to both hands, and you got to be aware of your surroundings. There are certain positions that I believe that when you go to the ground that you should not do if you're surrounded by people, because you can get soccer kicked, you can get pushed over, somebody can jump in, and then if you're so focused on this position, you won't be aware of what's going on behind you. And then if it's one-on-one, no one's near you, then yes, there is other positions that I totally recommend. But when it comes to weapons, though, always keep your eyes on both hands, always, no matter what. That should be your number one goal when it comes to street self-defense.
That's a great tip, and I like that you're saying certain positions you should avoid. What positions would those be?
So if you're in a surrounding area, so let's say if there's multiple people, they're surrounding y'all, the one position I do not like doing is taking the back.
Okay.
If it's surrounding, or like let's say some of his friends and I don't have one by myself, I will not take the back, because from that position, yes, I do have a dominant position on that person, but I'm also vulnerable to getting kicked in the head or getting basically punched in the head, because I'm not looking, because I'm focused, my back is turned to them, I can get kicked in the head. Now, if it was like one-on-one street fight, nobody's near us, and yes, I would totally take the back, choke him out, put him asleep, and we're done. That's it. But from what I noticed from the street fight videos, nowadays, a lot of people don't like to fight one-on-one. And when somebody sees a friend like getting beat up one-on-one, they like to jump in.
Yeah.
So they always bring up. So I still teach it to my students, but I like to let them know, like, this could be the worst case scenario. I'll give them the best case scenario, and I'll give them the worst case scenario. All right. So that's like one of the positions that me personally, I wouldn't do in a street fight. I either go to full mount, side control, or and really knee on belly, because that way, if I'm surrounded, if somebody tries to move in, I can see everything. I can just get up, stand my ground, and see what happens from there.
Going ahead and realizing that when we fight on the street, that is, generally speaking, the other guy's not going to be alone. Even if you think he's alone, he probably isn't. Yeah. You got to assume that, right?
That's why I tell my students, always assume they're not alone.
Absolutely, 100%. And I think that that's one of those things that you have to learn the hard way sometimes, but when guys learn it, they're able to teach it to other people and say, hey, this happened to me, or this happened to my instructor, or this happened to whoever. I'm here to tell you, be freaking careful. And that's really the essence of martial arts, and really what it is about, I think, about giving back to people that you are teaching. Now, how did you come across wanting to teach jiu-jitsu? Now, I know it's kind of the part of eventually, like, you get your brown belt, you're very close to black belt, you got to start teaching at some point, right? But it takes more than that to become an instructor, to become a teacher. You have to want to help people. What
Yeah.
made you want to go ahead and start teaching?
So what made me want to start teaching was when I was in the military, I joined jiu-jitsu in the military. And one thing that I learned, one thing that I saw was the passion in my first instructors. And also in all my instructors from down out, I just saw the passion in them. If I hit a move, I saw how they got happy. Like, you just see this pure joy. They got pure joy out of it, pure love out of it. And, and that's something that I kind of was missing, like in my 9 to 5 job. I was like, yes, I'm training, but something was missing in there. But what really made it confirm was when I did my first Gracie survival tactics. It was a 5-day course with the Gracies, and that's for law enforcement to teach them how to survive in the streets and all that. I saw like there's people needed this because they also spoke about civilian life, or even kids too, how they get bullied. And it's something as a simple technique as closing the distance, taking them down to the ground, it changes the whole fight game. Because if you go up against, let's say, a bodybuilder, right? Most people, if they're not trained, they can be afraid of them because of the size. That's just the way we grew up, like watching the movies. The bigger, stronger guy, be afraid of him. But when I saw like what jiu-jitsu really does, once you take a fight to the ground, and they don't know ground fighting, it's a whole different world. The smallest person can control the biggest person, and that's what made me really like people. To me, I feel like people really do need jiu-jitsu. And then also my daughters too. When my daughters were born, all right, I got to teach them, and then that's what just led me to teaching more people. Then I just got stories, feedback too from some of my students, how some of my students have used it in real case scenario and they actually helped them. So I just love teaching now. So yeah.
It really is a satisfying feeling when you can take somebody from a very novice level or no experience at all and
Yep.
have them get the ability to defend themselves. You see the confidence, you see their shoulders go back, their heads, it really is a good feeling. Now,
Yeah,
I'm
it is. It
glad
is.
you
It really
bring
is.
up I'm glad you bring up the paradigm about the bodybuilder, because this really is what I think jiu-jitsu is all about, right? If you were to stand there and box this guy, one punch from him could freaking take your head off, right?
Exactly.
But if you close that distance and go ahead and grapple, yeah, absolutely. You got a way better shot. Now, when people start thinking about grappling a bodybuilder, I mean, what first pops into my mind is takedown training. And this is something I don't see a lot in a lot of jiu-jitsu schools, is they'll do some takedowns, but it's mostly starting from the knees, on the ground. What's your opinion about that?
In my opinion, my students, they know we start from standing. We never start from our knees. Because I told them, if you get in a street fight, nobody's going to sit on the ground or let's go to our knees. No, start from standing. So I'm real big on takedowns. Like, that's like my main thing. I want to make sure my students, even if it's just one takedown that they master, that's fine with me. That's going to be your bread and butter. But yeah, we start from standing. I don't like starting from my knees or none of that stuff. No, I don't really like that. For me, it's always standing because that's where the fight starts. Even if punches are thrown, nobody's going to let you just sit down. If you sit down in a street fight, the first thing they're going to do is try to soccer kick you or do something worse to you. So, yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, I'm real big in takedowns all the way, standing always.
I'm glad to hear you say that. All of the really good self-defense jiu-jitsu instructors I've ever interviewed have always said that, is that I don't freaking start from the knees. Like, maybe there's a time and a place to do some specific drills and stuff, but
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, same thing here. There are some times like let's say if today's lesson specifically on this passing drill or something, then yes, we'll start from the ground because we're doing positional sparring.
Mhm.
But when it comes to live sparring, always feet, starting up for the feet. We never start from the ground.
I'm glad also to hear you say that you do a lot of positional sparring. I think that
Yes.
positional sparring is really the way to get good.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, yeah. Now, you mentioned GST, Gracie Survival Tactics, and you're actually instructor with Gracie Survival Tactics. Am I correct?
So I'm not an instructor for them, but I did get certified. Their level 1
Okay.
certification. So I
So
went through the course, got certified. So basically, I know what to teach to law enforcement whenever law enforcement comes in. It's just more tools for my bag, basically.
No, and I think that really the key aspect of looking at somebody is how often do they train? How often are they learning? And I know jujitsu, you never stop learning. That's one of the beautiful
Yeah,
things about it. And I think that it's really paramount to see how much is your instructor going and, either taking courses or just on his own grappling, sparring, everything like that. What's your opinion about now we see the cliche instructor and the reality-based defense thing where it's like some fat guy and he's teaching when you shoot in, just like hit him in the face and he'll drop like a sponge, right?
yeah,
I would assume that you have an opinion on that.
yeah. That's fake. Don't fall for that.
Yeah, yeah,
That just the way I see it. This is what I tell people, like those people that do this or that no touch system.
yeah.
No, don't fall for that. They're just good salesmen. That's what I told you. They're just good salesmen. Like that does not work in the streets ever. Like ever.
Are you saying that if somebody shoots in on me and I put my finger in his eye, he's not going to drop like a sack of shit?
No, no, he's not. He's not. Hell no, he ain't. Especially if he's on crack or something. No, damn well he's not gonna. No, he's not gonna fall. No, that. So anybody out there, if somebody's telling no, it doesn't work. That does not work.
I'm glad to hear you say that. Also, it's really something that gets my gears going when I see those guys.
Oh
And
man, it gets a lot of us. And not just y'all. And not just you. Like a lot of like some of my boys that now they're opening their own academies and they're pure self defense. Man, we'll send each other videos just to joke around,
yeah,
but at the same time we're like, man. And but what pisses us off is not really necessarily is the people that are actually there watching it, like inside the actual video. Like they'll have like 30, 50 students behind them, and we're like they're just good salesmen. Like, dude, how people because they don't know, they're not educated. It's like this does not work. Like this does not work. Like there's
I
no
was
no. So yeah, that's what gets us mad that they convince so many people to fall for that stuff, and then God forbid something happens where one of the students does really think this is going to work in a real street fight, he ends up getting either brutalized, beat down, or God forbid murdered. You know what I mean? It's like, no, like that doesn't work. So that's why we joke around about it, but at the same time, we get super pissed about it. Yeah.
it's really an upsetting thing. I was actually just doing some research on a system called I'm blanking on the name, but it's this old like early 2000s close combat system, and I'm going to leave the guy's name out of it who was founding it, but a viewer of mine wanted me to do some research on it for the stuff I do on YouTube. And I'm
Uh-huh.
looking into this guy and I'm seeing he's doing all of these cool flow drills with the hands. And, he's saying, this is a scientifically based system because I was a homicide detective and I analyzed blood spatters and saw how things really went down in the street. And it sounds sexy, right? It sounds great. Then you start watching some of his instructional videos and he's got like this bag, like this soft leather bag, and he's putting his hands in it like this. And he's saying, if you know how to jab it in somebody's eyes, you're going to win every single time. And this is how, World War II people trained. And, this is all you really need to know. And I'm looking at it and I'm saying, what the hell is this guy talking about? And he's like 300 pounds, not muscular, And I'm like, dude, like this guy's going to get somebody killed. I
Yeah.
think that after that whole like early 2000s thing, jiu-jitsu started blowing up, right? MMA got popular. People started realizing these guys are full of shit. Like, what the hell are they talking about? I could just go train jiu-jitsu and actually learn how to fight, right?
Yeah, because jiu-jitsu and MMA, you cannot hide it. It's a real fight. It's trained fighter. Like, you cannot hide none of that flow. No, it's like, all right, these guys are really fighting, trying to kill each other. But I mean, jiu-jitsu, that's what it is. They're
Yeah.
teaching us how to like break each other and basically kill each other. We kill each other every day on the mats.
Yeah.
But we just tap and that's it. You know what I mean? But yeah, you're right. 'Cause I've seen videos like that. But it's funny how you said that because the first thing he said was, "I was a homicidal detective," and that's the sales pitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what most of these instructors do. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, I was the homicidal, or I worked for the FBI, CIA. Like I know what happened. I know these secret moves that nobody knows, but really they don't know nothing." Because we done met people like me, a couple of boys. We met people like that. We'll look at them like, "Bro, you full of shit. Like, don't give us that." And we're like, "Come on up." And I've been to trainings too, where we'll have people like that. They're like, "Oh, well, I was in either police department or I was a contractor for somebody, and I taught them this." We're like, "All right, cool." And then like, so what would you do in this scenario? And the first thing they'll say is, well, I can just either draw my weapon or I can just do this. And we're like, all right. So one of the trainings that I've been to, the guy found out that was telling like, hey, you're a brown belt, right? I'm like, yeah, I am. He's like, all right, cool. He's like, I'm gonna give you a plastic knife. And he basically called out the other guy. Because if you're here with the closed-minded, this is not the training for you. Because you think that you're thinking that work shit, so it's not gonna work. So the story was, this is what happened. He gave him the plastic knife, and he's like, look. He told the guy, so he said you just draw your weapon and finish the fight, right? He's like, yeah, cool. He told me, hey, get 20 feet away from him. He told him, all right, let's see how good you are with your weapon. And obviously it was a plastic gun. So he gave it to him, and he told him, all right, this guy, he's pointing to me. He's like, all right, this is the scenario. He's on crack. He just went rogue. He had a bad day. And he looked at me, take him to the ground and kill him. Pretend that you kill him. I'm like, all right, cool. With the plastic knife. Got it. Training. So then he said, go. Before he put his hand on the gun, I already took him to the ground, turned his back and cut him. And he was like, congratulations. Now we got to call your family and let them know that, because this is your mentality. And that's what happened. That's when his eyes just opened. He's like, dude, we're not doing this to sell you or get your money. We're doing this because this is what we do. Like, this is how we train. This is what really works. But yeah, like some of those guys, they just have to learn sometimes the hard way. Either they'll call out the wrong person, or sometimes an actual student that will show up, because maybe that might be the only academy in the area, but because they move from somewhere else and train with somebody legit, they call them out and be like, yo, that doesn't work. And then they'll be like, dude, this is like false. This is not realistic. And that's what we usually found out, where that's how most of the guys get caught that are full of shit. Either they call out the wrong person, or an actual student that trains somewhere else from a legit place will come and visit, and they'll be like, what the hell is this? Like, no, this is unrealistic. But yeah, it's crazy how that works, man.
It is, dude. Jiu-jitsu is the most effective martial art you can train in my
Yeah,
personal opinion.
yeah, it is. I feel the exact same way. And then once you add the other martial arts, like your fundamentals of boxing, your fundamentals of wrestling, judo, you put all that together, I feel like, and that's where MMA, like, I feel like that's a complete system. And then on top of that, add your weapons training too.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you'd be a complete fighter. Not, I wouldn't say a fighter, but like a complete complete fighter, a complete overall fighter, where you feel comfortable standing, you'll feel comfortable going to the ground. If you get in a gunfight, you feel comfortable gunfighting, knife fighting. And that's what I'm trying to do in my academy. I'm trying to change the game, where basically I'm trying to bring everything together. Kind of like Bruce Lee, where he took this martial art, Wing Chun, this and this, and he created his Jeet Kune Do. Well, for me, it's like, all right, now everything that I learned throughout the years, I'm just trying to put it together and share as much as I can and keep it realistic as possible. And I like how you mentioned that, how you always like to see what the instructors do. Like for me, I'm always traveling and going to different MMA gyms, going to different jiu-jitsu gyms, and I'm looking for the biggest and baddest instructors so they can whoop my ass. Because if they can whoop my ass, that means I got more to learn, and that's how I get better. So I'm always looking for the bigger, faster, better person than me, whether if it's gunfighting, boxing, jiu-jitsu, it doesn't matter. Like, all right, you kick my ass, like, what can I learn from you so I can take it back and teach other people? Yeah.
That's such an important thing. You know, it's a true warrior you're talking to when he says, I want to get my ass kicked so that
Yeah.
I can freaking get better. He's not afraid. He doesn't have an ego. He just wants to get better at killing other people, basically. And that's really
Yeah.
what we're talking about, I think. You know, people try to put a spin on it and say, well, you know, this and that, the peaceful art, the gentle art, right? Yes, of course. But really what we're talking about is a life and death struggle, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in a street fight. In a street scenario, it's always, you got to think about life or death, especially once a weapon gets involved. Yeah, it's a whole different ball game. Like, everything goes out the window. Now it's, all right, who's going to survive?
Can you tell us a little bit more about Gracie survival tactics?
Yeah, so so when I went through it, it was a 5-day course. It was 8-hour training days, and it basically is it's basically a way to teaching law enforcement, or introducing law enforcement to jiu-jitsu and how this can help you out in the street case scenario. So basically what their goal is to basically teach the officers how to survive without going, which is what's been going on, which is going to drawing a weapon and shooting unarmed people.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of, so it's basically more education and more knowledge. This how you control somebody the right way without you wasting energy, without, yes, they might be getting hurt, but you're not killing them.
Yeah.
You're not causing actual messed up injuries. You're controlling the suspect like the way you're supposed to, put in the handcuffs and boom, done. You make them submit, basically.
And I
But
think
yeah,
that's
those
really
I
important.
recommend it to anybody. If there's any law enforcement here watching it, if you see a GST course, um, take it. It's a best investment. You learn a lot in those 5 days. You learn a lot in those 5 days.
Especially these days, I mean, we've got law enforcement guys with their hands tied, so to speak. I mean, guys are afraid to make the arrest. Guys are afraid to go out
Yep,
there and put hands on. But if you
they
know
are.
about these things like the Gracies are teaching you, I would assume I've not taken it, but I would assume that they're teaching you, the proven and right ways to do it
Yeah,
instead of
they're showing the
right.
proven right ways. They take it through the levels of like best same thing. So that's where I got most of my teaching methods because I learned from them. But when I went to their courses, but they basically start off, all right, this is base case scenario, take them down, turn them over like this, and they teach you certain ways, handcuff them, case is closed. And then they work up to the different levels. And then they work obviously to the worst case scenario. And then this what we do, But yeah, it's one of the best things ever. It's one of the best investments I've done.
Hmm.
And then, like I said, any law enforcement in here watching this, recommend it. Make that investment. If your department won't pay for it, pay out of pocket. It's the best thing. And that's one of the things I'm offering at my academy, where I have 2 days dedicated to specifically law enforcement training only, just for law enforcement and first responders, firefighters, and ambulance as well. Because I know sometimes they get called for some reason. They show up sometimes before the police, and then if they don't know what to do, they're like, all right. So I also teach firefighters and paramedics and all that.
And I was actually going to bring that up. That's a really cool thing that you're offering because I don't see a lot of other academies doing that for EMTs, paramedics, firefighters. Yeah, you've always got the guys teaching law enforcement, but really when it comes down to it, and you've been a firefighter as well. Obviously, that's what I do as well. And if you
Yeah.
show up for like an EDP, emotionally disturbed person or something like that, and there's no cop there to, to freaking handle him, you got to handle him. Sometimes, you walk into a house and it's a sketchy situation, domestic violence, something like that. And you might need very well to defend yourself, even more
Yeah,
so
for sure.
EMTs. Yeah. And I think that
Uh,
for the guys who really want to be able to go home at the end of the night and not, get a knife in their gut or cracked in the face and thrown in the whatever it happens, you need to know a little something in order to go ahead and handle, what you're paid to do.
yeah, no, that's true. I agree, and that's the reason why I literally made this class specifically for them. But right now, I have mainly more cops. I haven't got no firefighters or responders yet. But for them, we just go over jujitsu. It's basically specifically cater for law enforcement. They're bringing their belts. We'll bring in the practice guns, the plastic guns, and we'll just go through basic scenarios. And also, I always ask them to every class, like, hey, did anything happen this prior weekend? Or did you hear anything about that? We may not know in the media yet that might happen to a certain police. And they're like, oh, yeah, there's one cop got taken down. This happened. How we get out of this? Then we'll just go over through that, and then I just build from there. And then same thing. But, yeah, so if you're in doubt, there's any first responders as well, like firefighters and paramedics. Like I said, this is also for y'all, not just law enforcement. Because, yeah, firefighters and paramedics, for some reason, they show up quicker than the cops.
Yeah.
But all right, and then they don't know what to do, and then they have to wait outside until the cops show up.
Mhm.
So it's
It's
crazy how that works.
it's always something I've kind of thought about. I've obviously never had to get into a fight in my turnout gear or anything like that. But as you
Yeah.
know, that stuff it's clunky, it's heavy. Your boots are like, it just makes it harder. And especially you've got your SCBA on your back or whatever. Like,
Oh
if
man,
you ever
SCBAs
have
are
to
heavy,
handle,
dude.
yeah, dude.
Oh, the FFEs, man, those like an extra 20, 30 pounds on top of you.
It's heavy. I just think that that's really a market that's out there, but no one's really tapped into it yet. So
No, and even and it's crazy because it's not really because it's not tapped into it. I feel like I would say it's hard to tap into. It's more because I hate to say it, but a lot of the law enforcement or first responders, they're kind of, it really takes something bad to happen to that certain person, like the actual to jump in and like, all right, I might need this now.
yeah.
Instead of so most of them they'll wait till after the worst case scenario before they can do the preventive. Like if you would have just trained before, you could have totally avoided this situation. And I've had it before. I've had cops come in and then they'll be like, hey, this happened to me. I heard about this. I'm like, yeah, for sure. I'm like, what happened? And he's like, yeah, like, what would you have done? And I'm like, not telling him, like, put me in that scenario and let's see what happens. And I'm like, hold me like the way they held you down or whatever happened in that scenario. And I show them the simplest thing. And they're like, that's all I had to do. I'm like, yeah, that's all you had to do. And then now they're like my biggest advocates now. They're the ones spreading the word through the like here in Dallas, DPD. Like, dude, I need to train. Like, this is not like this is real. Like, it can happen to anybody. But like I said, most of the community is they wait till something bad happens to them before they actually take the next step. And then I'm trying to change that mentality to where don't wait. It's just start working now so you can prevent it. Don't wait for the aftermath. Let's prevent it, and that way you feel more comfortable too as well doing your job.
And it's a shame too how a lot of departments don't want to spend the money. They just don't
Yeah,
want.
that's the one that trips me out, man. That trips me out a lot. Departments do not want to pay for extra training.
No.
I'm like, dude, y'all got this huge budget. Y'all could at least spend it on extra training. It will save y'all so much money at the end.
Yeah,
And
well,
but
we'll see
yeah,
what
like
happens. They may not have any money now to freaking spend, but we'll see how it goes.
yeah, and right now a lot of policemen they're actually paying out of their own pockets now. And then that's why I give them like a huge discount. I'm like, all right, just because man, they're just yeah, because the departments. So all the courses that I've taken for law enforcement training throughout the country, the first thing they ask like, how many of y'all did the police department pay for it? Maybe one or two. All right, so like in a room of 100 of us, one or two will raise their hand. All right, actually there'll be more. Sorry, there'll be more. And then they'll be like, all right, how many of y'all did the police department just gave it to y'all, no questions asked? Yes, go ahead, we need this. That'll be like one or two that were open minded. The other ones would be the next question, be like, hey, how many of y'all did y'all had to beg the police department and show them videos of what we do, this and this and that? And then that's when their hands stay up. Another portion of the hands, like, all right, so they had to beg for it. And then the rest of it, how many are paying out of pocket? 90% of the room. They're like, all right. And seeing that's a problem. Either the state, the government, or the police department, they don't want to spend that money into training. But that's the thing that can save lives and prevent so much things at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think for guys out there listening, the LEO guys, and even first responders, look, it's your safety. At the end of the day, you're going to be the one who is going home to your family or not. You're going to be the
Yeah,
one who, gets in trouble or not. And you need to really look at this as an investment, like life insurance, right? You hopefully will never have to use it, but if you do, you've got it.
yeah, exactly. I never heard. Yeah, that's the best way to compare it. Yeah, you hope you never use it, but at least you know you got it. And then the way I tell my students or my cop students is like, because people ask like, why do you train so much? Like you don't get into situations. I'm like, look, so it's like it's this old Japanese quote. I forgot who said it, but it's like way of the warrior. It's like I'd rather be a warrior in the garden than a gardener during the time of war.
That's a good one. Huh.
Yeah. So it's like I'd rather be like in a warrior in the garden than a gardener during the time of war.
Hmm.
Like I hope I never use none of this. I really do. But at least I know that I'll be able to, and if the day does come, I'll be prepared and I'll be ready to go. And I'll be able to go home to my daughters at night.
You just never know. I mean, you just never
No,
know.
and that's the thing that you never know. You never know. Like man, like you'll hear out of nowhere throughout the day, normal day, you'll hear on the news or on social media, random shooting somewhere. You're like, damn, like I was just there.
Yeah.
Like if I would, you know what I mean? Like you never know. You literally never know what can happen, when it can happen, and that's why I just really believe in stay prepared. Just stay prepared. It won't. I mean, it's not gonna. All it does is gonna make you better, make you a better person, less stress. You get to beat up on people,
Mm-hmm.
like controlled. You release stress. You release any type of anxiety that you have. You just feel comfortable. You're happy, man. Something about martial arts just makes you happy. That's what I see it. It's like
It
you
really
can
does.
have a fucked up day, go to class, that 1 hour in class, you forget about everything. Then you go home happy, peacefully. Boom. All right, good. Yeah.
you got 1 hour a day. You know, if you're a guy like you, then probably more than 1 hour, but you get at least
Yeah.
1 hour a day. No phone, right? You don't look at your damn phone. You don't worry about what your girlfriend's bitching at you about. You don't worry about what the kids are doing. It's train. It's single-mindedness and focus. And I think that that's so
Yeah.
important. So important.
Yeah, it is. It is. It really is. It truly is.
Another thing
It's
that I
good
would
for the
say,
mind, the spirit, and the body.
yeah, no, absolutely. Mind, body, and spirit. And that's a good way to put it. And I think that when you start training jujitsu, because it's so hard, you fight every time and you're fighting for your life on the mat. Things in life, other life problems that you might experience, they start to seem less important. They start to seem less stressful once you've literally been trying to defend your life and kill another man on the mat for like an hour. 6 months into it, you're like, wait a minute, why was I getting so worked up over that? Like now it seems like I've got bigger issues,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No, exactly. Yeah, it's something about it's just something about jiu-jitsu, man, where it literally carries over into your personal life where all right, if I can survive, like if you go up against a world champion, if you survive his pressure, like smashing you, you're like, oh man, like those 8 minutes feel like 24 hours. You're like, I'm never gonna get out of this. Then when you do get out, all right, cool. Then when something stressful happens in life, you're like, all right, if I can survive that for 8 minutes, I'm good. I can totally handle this over here. Like this is fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just something about it, man. Like you're right. It just frees up everything.
it
You
does.
worry less. You're just happy now.
Now, kickboxing, boxing, those are really important factors to look at here too, as you mentioned. When did you get into the striking component of things?
So I started training striking as I was 5 years old. I got into boxing when I was 13. I did it throughout my whole high school. I graduated, went to the military. Then once I got stationed in Hawaii, that's where I picked it up again, boxing, kickboxing, and that's when I started training. So I started again when I started my jiu-jitsu because of the academy that I was going to. They offer boxing, kickboxing as well.
We look at a lot of the World War II combatives here on Gutter Fighting Secrets, and back in the day when they were training guys, they gave them a lot of very simple techniques, but the foundation was always boxing and wrestling. And I think that
Yeah,
boxing and wrestling are the two classic American sports that if you can combine those, you'd be a force to be reckoned with, man.
yeah, and I teach that as well. I teach so in the combatives class, in the self-defense class, I teach them how to start from standing, like with strikes, and then changing levels, and then now basically take it to all world, which is a ground game.
Mm.
Because everything's, like I said, everything starts from standing. No matter what street fight, they're either gonna hug you or they're gonna try to throw haymakers at you. So if you learn the fundamentals, the basics of either slipping and rolling, blocking, parrying, and you can do that. Add it with the level change. Go for the takedown. All right, welcome to my world.
Mm.
Now you're in a world where you're comfortable, where this is my world. Now here we go.
Be a guppy swimming with sharks, man. It's you don't want to
Yeah.
go to the ground with a jiu-jitsu guy. Not at all. You don't want
Yeah.
to fight a jiu-jitsu guy. Put it to you like that. Did they give you any training in the Navy, like as far as basic training goes? Anything hand to hand?
No, the only thing, no hand to hand. The only thing we got was basic weapons training. That's all we got, depending on your job. Now, if you're, I think if you're an MA, Master Arms, the police, I believe their school they do offer some type of basic training, but I think they adapted from the Marines, their basic combatives classes,
Okay.
and that's what they teach. Unless you go special forces, then they teach you way more crazier stuff.
Mm.
But yeah, but I know for when I went through it, all it was we had to qualify on the 9mm, the shotgun, and then the rifle, and that's it.
Mm.
And by qualification, all it was is hit the target, and then that's it. Then he ain't winning. I didn't get to the more advanced shooting until I got out,
Yeah.
and I started actually looking for it and knowledge and all that. That's when everything got better for me. My my gun draw, my aiming, moving and shooting, switching from handgun to rifle, all that got better after I got out. 'Cause I actually went and looked for it and pursue it and look for other people that can teach me.
I think that's critical. Guys who've been in the military. I mean, depending what branch of service you were in, I know some guys say, I feel like I was very well trained. Some guys say I didn't get enough. But to go out and like we've been talking about the whole podcast, man, go out, Don't be stingy. Pay for it out of pocket if you want to really get good at it. Like you're saying, I had to freaking go out and take more training once I got out and level up, right?
Yeah, you have to, man. You got to invest in yourself. That's the best thing you do in life is just invest in yourself.
Yeah.
And then stuff that I done, like this was years ago when I started investing in myself, and now like honestly didn't think it was gonna bring me up to like this, and now I'll be teaching people. For me at that time, I just wanted to get better for myself. I just like learning, and I'm like, oh man, if I can learn this, it'd be awesome just to know it. And then now, fast 4 years later, now I'm teaching people. And look at it's because I invested in myself years back. So you never know that investment that you do yourself. You never know how it's gonna pay you back, but it will pay you back later on down the road.
And that's, I've had a lot of warriors on here, man. And I've talked to a lot of guys in my time, and they all say that. They all say, you never stop learning. A warrior's
Nope.
position in life is to just always keep learning. It's so important.
Student mindset, always a student mindset, always. I literally learned stuff from white belts in jiu-jitsu that they came up with some way because of their body type. They're like,
Mm.
oh, I do it this way, and I'm like, oh man, I never thought about that. And then like he showed me again, show me again. I'm like, oh, then I'll take that. And if I have a student that's that body type, or if I meet somebody that's having problems because of a certain injury or something, well, oh, I learned this from this person because he had the same problem or he had to adapt to this. And like, oh, okay, yeah, that works for me now. I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, I'm always student mindset, always. No matter where I go, I always try to keep a student mindset. I'm not a know-it-all. And I tell people I don't know shit. They're like, what do you know? I'm like, I don't know shit. I just train. That's it. Because I always like to keep that student mindset, always.
That's every time I every time I fight a guy in jiu-jitsu and he's like, oh, I'm not that good, I don't know shit, like I always somehow end up getting choked out pretty quickly, but that's the nature of it.
Yeah, because we do that because then we know that for a fact we're gonna get checked either by our instructors or by other teammates that are the same level as us, and they'll choke us out like it's just like we don't know shit. We just like yeah, this is all that I know. But we're always learning, always getting better, and then I always try to learn for somebody. Always, always, always.
I'm glad you bring up the white belt thing because I've always kind of found that, and I'm just a blue belt, so I'm nowhere near the level that you are, but I've always found that fighting a brand new white belt is almost more challenging than fighting like a blue or even sometimes a purple belt. Why is that? I mean, is it just the way they thrash around, or?
So for one, it's because of they never been put in that situation. So this is the first time, especially if they come from a no uh, any type of grappling sport. For example, if they never wrestled in high school or anything like that, most likely they're gonna spaz out because for them now is that I feel like from my experience is that fight or flight. So most likely they're gonna fight. They're gonna try to like push you and like trying to get out of the way. So that's the reason why most white belts they spaz out because they don't know like they just get tensed up and it's that fight or flight. They get tensed up. They just want to get you off of them. And then it's like a street fight because if you take somebody to the ground, that's how they're gonna push you off. So that's how they're gonna try to push you, especially if you're dominating them. But once you learn how to control them, it's like all right. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
why like with my white belts when I roll with them, I'm like, look man, like you can try to push me out, but I'm still gonna control you. So just relax, focus on the techniques. They're like okay, then they say relax, and that's how they just get better and better.
Mm.
Because the
It's
way I tell them, you're just wasting energy that you're not supposed to be
uh,
wasting. We could have used it somewhere else.
yeah, and I think that that's a good lesson to teach people is, if you relax into it, it'll be a lot more efficient. And I've noticed that certain schools they have different ways of doing it, right? And I won't mention any names. I certainly won't bring that up. But I've mentioned, or I've noticed rather that certain schools you go into and it's sink or swim, right? Like you go in,
Yeah.
like here's a technique, go fight, right? Other schools, it's really like safety based, and it's like, well, we don't want anyone to get hurt, and like let's take it easy on each other and flow rule. And then other schools are kind of a mix of both. What do you think is the best way to teach brand new students?
Uh, I think the best so far for me is I'll teach them techniques like the first month or two.
Mm.
Then once I see like they actually get comfortable, or if I notice that they're executing those fundamentals like your hip escape, your basic stuff, recovering your basic close guard. If I see like they're really like adapting and it's becoming a muscle memory, then I'll introduce them to sparring. But usually for sparring, I'll go first with them, like the first maybe week, so they can just go for it. 'Cause I know how to control my pace, my pressure, and that way they get used to having a body on top of them, fighting back against them. And after that, then I start slowly introducing them to another student that might know how to go up against a new person. And then once I feel like they get comfortable, all right, now you can start picking your partners who you want to go with and all that stuff. So I
I would
slowly introduce them to first I go with me, and then I go with another high ranking student, and then I just work my way down.
I wish that was the way I learned jujitsu, man. It wasn't basically like, all right, here's an arm bar, like go fight, man. Like see you after class, and it was so rewarding.
Nah. So that's the way it was, and that's the way I learned. My first instructor, they wouldn't let us spar like the first month or two, and then we had to go with either him or one of the black belts or brown belt because they know how to put the pressure in the right places. They know how to stop you, but they let you work at the same time, and they talk to you like, hey, do this instead. All right, see, all right, do this, and that's the way I do with them. And then once they saw I got comfortable with that, then they moved me to the purples and the blues. And by the time I know it, it's like, all right, now it's all for all. Like now you know, here you go. Like now you know
So
what to expect.
you guys have recently opened up, and it sounds like you're going to be doing big things out there, man. I'm really excited for you guys.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, dude. If I'm ever down in Texas, I'll definitely get in touch with you. I love.
Yeah, man, I'm
I
in
heard
Dallas, man.
Texas.
Let me know.
No, definitely, man. I heard Texas was the freest nation on earth, so I'll definitely like try to get down
Yeah, it is. It is.
there. So, how do guys get in touch with you if they want to come train, find out more about you?
So right now I am on Facebook. On Facebook, I'm on 145. 144 Academy, and then on Instagram, I'm on at 144 Academy, and that's my gym page. And from right there, I'll have you'll see my name for my personal page, and my personal page on Instagram is at BAUTIS underscore. BAUTISJA underscore FIT. Bautista J Fit. But the easiest way is go to my academy page at 144 Academy, and also on Google too. If you're in Dallas, Google 144 Academy Jiu Jitsu.
Outstanding, dude. So,
Yeah.
bro, Jairo, I really appreciate you coming on, man. I've had
Oh man, thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it. It's an honor for me. Like me as a business owner, and now like doing it, like this is just crazy. I still get like goosebumps getting invited to podcasts. Like, 'cause I've never done anything like this, and it just feels good.
it's so exciting, dude. Like, honestly, when you open up a business like this, and this isn't your average business, right? This is like jujitsu. This is like
Yeah,
it's.
something that I love to do.
I know. Doing what
Yeah,
you love
man.
to do is like I think you could make all the money in the world working on stocks or whatever, but if you're doing what you love, you're the richest man in the world, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, exactly, man, exactly.
So, Jairo, I appreciate you coming on the podcast, man.
Oh,
And
thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
it's been a pleasure, dude.
You too, brother.
Guys, I want you to remember until next time that you are your first and last line of defense. Don't forget that. Serious times we're living in right now. Definitely go and hit up Jairo, Instagram, Facebook, also at the 144 website. Definitely check him out. And if you're in the Dallas area, don't be afraid to get in touch. Now, Jairo, one more question. Do you guys, if guys are coming from out of town and they want to come train for a day or a week or whatever?
Yeah, I offer day passes, drop-in fees. I do all that too as well. They can come in. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, appreciate you coming on the podcast, and I'll catch you around, dude.
All right, brother. Cheers. Thank you.